I don't want to have this conversation right now because I know we're going to have it 100 times before the election.
You know what I want to do with this conversation?
I know you want to jettison it into the
flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once. They end up using more water.
But let me just say this: that no,
10, 15 times.
We had this conversation. The amount of times that I have said in the past that voting is not an act of self-expression, that voting is a tool, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's going to come up because, there is real reason for people to be completely enraged and disgusted at Joe Biden, particularly from my perspective, on his unfettered support of Israel's assault on Gaza, slaughter. But the best expression of like how I think you should approach voting that I've seen, and maybe even better than I've articulated it, frankly, which is not always fun to admit, particularly since I've had to articulate this over the course of 10 years, was from Olayemi Olurin, right?
Olayemi Olurin.
Olurin. And I mean, I've seen her online for quite some time, but her perspective on voting, I think, is and she has a video out on it that somebody had recommended. I think it's titled like Voting Guide 2023. It just came out like I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it's a long video. But you really only have to watch the first 15 minutes, in my estimation, 20 minutes, to get the the 2023 election survival guide, 2024 election survival guide. Sorry, this came out.
Wow,
8 days ago.
Eight days ago. Okay, and we'll put a link to this. You really only have to watch the first 15, 20 minutes, but I encourage you to watch the whole thing. But it really just expresses the whole point of voting, which is, as a mechanism, one mechanism, to make it easier for people to organize and get what they want. And it really is just one mechanism to make it easier. She's quite explicit about seeing government officials as her adversaries. She's a defense attorney, but she's also an advocate for carceral reform. But I think this applies to just about everything. That you're trying to get stuff from the government that they don't want to give you at different times, regardless of who is any given politician, because there's always going to be more than one politician, one government agency, one various sets of incentives that cut against stuff, even if people genuinely want in their heart to provide it or don't want to provide it. It really doesn't matter. And the point is, you want to elect a person or people to these offices that are going to be the most susceptible, or you can articulate it as the weakest, against your advocacy for stuff, for people.
And it's not just the politician themselves, too, especially when we're talking about national elections. It's their staff. It's the coalitions they bring with them. It's the people that have endorsed them.
When you talk about president and staff, you're talking about 40,000 appointments.
That's why, it's not a popularity contest in that way, or like about the person. You're not voting for America's mascot. You're voting for like the people that will be brought along. Lena Khan and Julie Su are good examples of people who had departments under the Biden administration that who have made real differences, and that would not be the case under obviously a Trump one. But
if you I will, maybe we'll play a clip, but we'll isolate a clip that we can play so that we don't necessarily have to answer these questions every time. But in the meantime, go check that out.